All right, welcome back to Cowboys Game Plan Week 5, pregame edition, Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Jets. I'm Mike, that's Slater. Slater, half the team is injured, and we're coming into a desperate Jets team who, although they've lost 4 games already this season, going back and looking at the film, this is a competitive team. 3 of these games were close. One of them, they kind of lost some of it at the end, but man, their week 1 and week 4 games were battles. They battled the Bucks pretty hard as well. So this is not a team that can't play the game, right? They have
hmm
talent. They know how to move the ball. A little bit of a college-esque offense, but what do you think is going to happen for Dallas's offense to have success this week versus this Jets team?
I think it's going to be probably trying to keep the ball on the ground and run it. I mean, that's the only thing that's giving your offense some kind of success to help Dak Prescott out in the passing game. So I believe it's going to be that running game with Javonte Williams. I know we're banged up. There's a possibility that no Tyler's play this week. Obviously, they've already ruled out Booker and Guyan. If they were to rule out Tyler Smith, that is going to be one interesting of an offensive line going out there this week.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen Bass and Hoffman, right? They proved themselves against the Packers and still proved that we can move the ball. Javonte Williams is a hell of a runner, so either way, he's going to be putting the shoulder down and falling forward for a couple yards. But the question is it even if let's say all the Tylers are out, can we still find a way to get that 3 to 4 yard average that we've been getting with Javonte Williams, or does it turn into 1 to 2 and now put kind of your offensive plan behind the chains? And I think that's kind of dangerous in the sense of Dak Prescott has played very well when we have been kind of ahead of the chains because that play action opens up tremendously, right? So I think it's going to be keeping the ball on the ground and time of possession with this banged up offense.
So you think Jaden Blue's going to have a big part in that, or do you think it's going to be just like it was before, where they're going to use him like they did Miles Sanders, or do you think they're going to put him out as wide receiver to help contribute out there with us being so nicked up with our top 4 wide receivers being out?
I mean, I think it could be interesting. I mean, when you look at what Jadon Blue brings, right? He kind of brings that Turpin role where he could be that wide receiver, but he also brings that explosiveness at running back. So I'm kind of hoping that they at least give him that Miles Sanders role where he'll come in for at least a good, couple first downs here, there, and every other drive to see what we even got in him, right? I hope what doesn't happen is he goes out there and he like turns the ball over. That is the worst case for him, right? He really
Sure.
has an opportunity this weekend with Miles Sanders being out to show this coaching staff that one, he has matured enough to get playing time on the field, but two, show that he's a guy that you can't take off the field because of the explosiveness that we've seen, in his college film and preseason hype. So this is his opportunity. It's kind of like Tony Pollard when Zeke sat out that one game against
Sure.
Chicago, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
Pollard,
Yeah.
everyone's looking at him as he could be the guy for the next couple of years.
Yeah, this is still a job week. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? This is how you solidify yourself as the second team running back and move up from there if anything were ever happened with Javante. So I think
exactly.
you're 100% correct. I think they're going to have to move him around quite a bit. I agree with you. I think this is going to be have to be a heavy run first offense this week. Take the shots you can get. Actually, you have a lot of respect for this defensive line after watching the film. They're quick, man. They disrupt really fast. They're good on the first step, right? So a lot of damage in the first quarter, they were able to do.
Yeah.
In tandem with that, it's definitely going to have to be a good game from the tight ends for
hmm
us. We're going to need both of them out there being effective at all times. Definitely a time of possession game because I'm a little nervous about this one for the first time going into any week. This is the one I'm the most nervous about. Just because of our health situation with the team, and then the fact that we're playing a team who is pretty salty and has some good weapons. And in addition to that, we'll cover each one of their top 4 weapons in a really quick film study I'll do later that'll be out as well. But what do you think of the Jets offense if you don't have any other comments for Dallas?
No, I just want to say to our fans that you've been killing the film study. It's really fun to watch you kind of draw up on the board and stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, check out the past couple film studies, and then we should have the one out pretty quick, whether it's tonight, Friday night, or even tomorrow. So we'll get it out for y'all. But talking about the top weapons for the Jets offense, it's obviously going to be Garrett Wilson. That guy is dangerous at the
Right.
wide receiver position. I know they're banged up at running back for, I think it's Brandon Allen who's out, and then
Yeah.
Breece Hall though can make some explosive runs. You know, he's kind of known for not being explosive right now, but a couple years ago that guy was breaking off some 30, 40-yard runs. So it's going to be big for the linebackers this week and our edges to stay contained. But out of all things, and I'm sure you 100% agree with this, Justin Fields is the ultimate weapon on the field. I don't care what you say about it. They are running that offense right now like a college offense. I mean, they're running it like he's at Ohio State right now. You know, I don't look at Justin Fields and say, "Oh, the arm. Ah, no, don't throw it deep." You know, I see the legs and I think
He
of
he
week
can though. He can do
he
it.
can throw, but I think of week one against Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, this guy's faster though. This guy is more quicker to just. I'm gone. I'm going for
Right.
it. And
He
I
wants to run.
yeah, and I think about my boy Sanborn out there who can't break down to make a tackle right now,
Yeah, you
and
took
I
the
just
words
see
right out of my mouth. That's
I
my
see, I see
biggest concern.
I see his cleats flying off the screen, you know, because his body's going one way, but his cleats were left on the ground. That's how bad he could get shooken this week. So I'm hoping to see what Schottenheimer talked about, bringing in, you know, Shamir James, Leah Fowles, you know, the quicker guys who can at least spy him, right? If Kenneth Murray plays, I still think he has the ability to keep up. He's very fast, but I'm nervous about if Sanborn has to play a lot of snaps this week against that.
Yeah, man, I was looking at their offense, right? And let me tell you, their plays are fast.
Hmm.
They develop fast. They snap the ball and they know what they're doing with it. There's not a lot of, 3, 5, 7 step dropbacks at all. He just snaps the ball, takes a couple steps, and stands there, and is either throwing it to the flat, chucking it up, or handing it off. I mean, and it's just like that. Super quick plays. He does maybe 1 to 2 reads on passing plays. Like I said, snaps the ball, drops it back, looks at where he's going, and throws it there, and hopes that it's open. Pretty
Yeah.
much is the way it works. They do utilize everybody's speed because all of their weapons outside of Mason Taylor are fast, right? Their quarterback's fast. Their number
Hmm.
one receiver's fast. Both of their running backs are fast. I was watching this play, and it's one of the ones that I'll highlight later. The ball is snapped, and the defense absolutely knows that Justin Fields is going to run the ball. Like they stand there waiting for him to take off. They
Hmm.
already know what's happening, and he still runs for 15 yards with them waiting for him to take off and run. Like they're just standing there, like in position, squared up, like when you run, we're running. And he's still able to outrun them to the edge and get 15 yards up the field when they were watching him the entire time, which absolutely terrifies me because, with what we've seen from the linebackers, they're not great in pursuit and they're not real snappy on play recognition. They have a
Yeah.
hard time figuring out what's about to happen and trying to get in position to disrupt it. So I agree with you. Sanborn is really going to be challenged this week. Hopefully, we can get a little bit more of Luafau out there just for speed's sake. But I did notice one thing about Justin Fields as well. He's very easily rattled
Hmm.
with pressure. The first sign of pressure, he's squirrely, man. He's out of there. He wants to take off. He doesn't want to wait around.
Is
Like a
it
little bit of pressure and he's gone.
Is it like Jalen Hurts pressure, you know, kind of like where
No.
Hurts? Okay, so it's like any little bit, he's not trying to hang out in the pocket at all.
From what I've seen, if anybody looks like they're pushing his pocket up towards him at all, he starts bouncing around looking for something to do.
Is
Like he
that
doesn't wait.
is that advantage Dallas or is that disadvantage considering what we've seen with, you know, maybe Hurts scrambling and all that? Is it, you know, is it for the defensive end's job to really stay home this week or really push that pocket and hope your linebackers make the play? I guess that's my question.
I think it's that. I think if he's gonna if the play is designed for him to run, it's going to be hard to stop him because he can run. I mean, they ran a couple naked bootlegs and stuff like that in the end zone. That man, he was to the pylon before anybody even knew what was happening. A couple design runs that, like I said, I'll show you at least one of them that was really successful. That's going to be hard to stop, right? But what you're talking about is the stuff where, it's intended to be a pass play. He drops back. He sees that the pocket's going to break down in 2 seconds. He doesn't even want to wait for that to happen. He wants to take off now. Will we be able to do anything about that, or is he going to skirt out of there for a big gain? And
Hmm.
that's my fear as well, because from what I'm seeing, he can do that anytime, right? So we have to have very good discipline. If he does throw panic, a panic pass, if we're not in good position, which we haven't proven to be able to do yet, man, he could get lucky all night and just keep bailing himself out because our coverage is not tight, right?
Yeah.
And that's also scary. So this is a game that everybody is going to say we should easily win, but man, they can't go in. Yeah, they can't go into this game with that attitude because these boys can hurt us. I really believe that they can hurt us.
Yeah, I have to put my earmuffs on when you say easily win because we have shown up for the
I'm not
tough game.
saying that.
I know, I know. I mean, in the sense of like, I hate when people say that because in Dallas, nothing is ever easy with us. We can't.
No,
I couldn't guarantee. Like people at work were asking me, "Oh, do you think the Cowboys should easily win this and all that?" I said, "The last time we played an 0-4 Jets team, we got embarrassed on TV. It was Sam Darnold and that long Robbie Anderson play. I think it was like
yes,
2019, if I'm not mistaken."
yep,
Dude, I hate. I wish the Jets were 1-3, so then I could be like, okay, well, we're not playing against a coach who's really looking for his first win, like it was a couple weeks ago for Ben Johnson. Their backs aren't against the wall for their season. Like the Jets are a very interesting team. Like when I look at them in preseason, I was like, this team has a chance to be talented. They've got a head coach who's got that Dan Campbell aspect where he's high energy and he's dancing around like he was in
he's a good
Tampa.
coach.
Yeah, he's a great coach, and I think they got a great culture going. They just haven't had games go their way, and I'm hoping that this Dallas one is not the one that goes their way because we don't show up to play. Even with all the injuries, we still have the most talented quarterback on the field. You still got what I believe is the better running attack. You obviously have the better, well, I'm gonna say better receiving core because George Pickens is him right now.
Right.
Um, and on top of that, your defense is a little shaky, but it seemed like there was a little improvement against the Packers. They developed a little bit more of a pass rush, but we got to stop people. I mean, we let that Packers game slip through our fingers because of opportunities, and I'm hoping this week we capitalize on opportunities with what you were talking about, what you see in the film with Justin Fields. Little pressure gets him out the pocket. Maybe we can force a bad turnover, or we can capitalize on third down.
Yeah, definitely a time of possession on offense and a team discipline game on defense, right? So the defense is going to have to play lockdown, stay at home until, obviously you're always trying to push up the field and disrupt the play. That's the assignment. But you don't have to push the entire line all the way to one side to do it so that Justin Fields has an escape route because the kid's going to take it and he can book, man. The kid can really move. So I think that if they can do that and try to shut him down early, get some points on the board as quick as possible, we cannot get off to a slow start here. We've got to get them down by two scores, break their spirits, and take them out of this game quick. They're 0-4. Comments have been made. There's storyline going on over there. They're ready to break. We cannot be their get right game like we've been for the Bears and stuff like that this season already. We have to hurt them and hurt them quick and break their spirit and go ahead and just send them 0-5 and let them deal with that. Because if they start getting confident with us, we're going to be in trouble
Yeah.
because that defense headhunts.
Yeah. And we're already behind the eight ball. Off camera, you and I have had conversations where, we talked about at this point we were really looking to be 2-2, right? And I know we're 2-1 or whatever, but you've got an opportunity here, Dallas, to really get on a winning streak before you get to that second half schedule after the bye week where it kind of gets tough, right? You've got the Jets coming up, you've got the Panthers coming up, and that gives you an opportunity to not only get out of a losing record, but to have a winning record, and hopefully some of your division foes drop a couple games, right? And it can build confidence leading into Arizona and then leading into Mile High, then Dubai, and then after that, who knows what, right? It's all about surviving until we can get the rest of our players back. Right now, we're very banged up, but we have an opportunity to play two not very good teams to slip by and then get healthy.
Right. So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
CD's out. Turpin's out, right? We've already got Pickens, we've got Tolbert, we got Flono. It looks like they elevated Paris Campbell,
Okay.
right? And Jonathan Mingo is now on his 21-day practice, ultimatum essentially. I don't know, but if Mingo is not able to play in this game, they're going to put Paris Campbell in. It looks like on special teams. How are they going to compensate? Where are we going to get that extra wide receiver? Because with our offense, we quite frequently rotate a minimum of four wide receivers out there, so we're going to be one short. So that was my question: is how are we going to how do you anticipate the offense is going to look, and what are they going to do with that offensive wide receiver position? And do you think that what I think is that they're going to use Jaden Blue there? They're going to have to at some point, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the opportunity of Jadon Blue kind of getting some of those reps. I don't know what they're doing with him in practices. I hadn't seen nothing where they're like, oh, well, they're using him in the slot. But I think there's a huge opportunity for it. He's an explosive guy. I couldn't see why he wouldn't be able to do that job.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if they still have Cropper, if they plan on elevating him and kind of rotating him in. But I'm actually didn't know the Paris Campbell one. That's actually kind of cool to know that he got.
I may be getting him confused with Cropper. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah,
It's
no
been a while.
worries. But either one of those guys, right? They're really more of a special teams guy. So to answer your question, I mean, I guess they're thinking maybe going tight end heavy. Maybe you see a lot of Spam Ford and Schoonmaker on, a lot of 12 personnel. Maybe that's what they're looking at is 12 personnel with the ability to say, hey, Jadon Blue, you've worked with Turpin a lot and you have the ability to kind of do some of his things. It may not be like burn routes, but maybe he runs the 10-yard outs or the 5-yard or the drags and the slants and something that an explosive running back could run. Uh, I think it's going to be, again, Schottenheimer's going to have to step up to the plate and get creative again. He's done very well using all of his weapons. Even with the injuries of last week, he still found ways to say, okay, Turpin, let me get you involved. Oh, hang on, Flournoy, let me get you involved. And found ways for Dak Prescott to take what he can give, but also have the opportunity because of the running game to build up for the deep play for George Pickens.
No, I agree. It's a Schottenheimer week. I think he'll cook something up. I'm concerned about it. It's like at what point does your ability to game plan and scheme get outweighed by the capacity or the capability of the players that are on your roster at this time?
Totally
Because
agree.
we got William McDonald, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner lined up on the other side. Their two defensive tackles are almost identical to ours.
Mm-hmm.
They're fast, they're strong, they're big. Number 95 and number 97, just like, Kenny Clark and Osa, and they play very similar. They tear up the middle of that field and they create a lot of havoc for the quarterback. So that concerns me a little bit. Sauce Gardner, let's assume he's going to take on our number one wide receiver at the moment, George Pickens. He's good too. That's a concern. So if Pickens gets even shut down a little bit or contested enough, we're going to start looking away from him to our other options for receiver. And, there is a little bit of a drop off with CD and Turpin not being on the field. So definitely got to watch that. It's definitely a big concern. And that's what I'm the most worried about. But I have faith in Schottenheimer. I know he's going to do great scheme and good play calls. It's just can we deliver in those big moments like we did at home versus the Packers, with the Tolbert toe tap catch and what Pickens was able to contribute. I guess, we're going to have to wait and see on that.
I think it's one of these games where your defense is gonna have to get a couple stops here. I'm not. I mean, of course, we're the worst defense in the NFL right now. I'm not expecting like a shutout, but you cannot. If we let up 40 points, I do not. I do not. I have confidence in our offense, but I don't have enough confidence to say we're gonna do what we did last week again. There's no way. Our defense has to step up. Matt Eberflus, you had Justin Fields on your team for 3 years. Like he talks like he's got an advantage this week. I need to see that advantage because we can't score 40 again. There's no way. Another offensive shootout and another Hemi performance by Dak Prescott. And it's not because I don't have belief in them. It's just that if you're expecting the offense to do this every week, you're insane. There's no way. So
Yeah, we can't have a significant drop off in points. We
yeah,
can't.
I agree.
We got to hit 30, right? So, speaking of defense, I was looking at this, and for my eyes at least, this is not a game where I think we want to play a lot of
Hmm.
man cover, right? Because they have so much speed on the field at any given time that if we even slip up in coverage a little bit, we're going to get cooked, right? We have to pressure Justin Fields, get him nervous, and then use, our zone coverage to confuse him to throw bad balls. He doesn't throw the best, right? He underthrows, he overthrows, he throws low. They get knocked down at the line of scrimmage a lot. He's not super accurate, so he can be a messy passer, and that's great for zone defense when zone defense is working. Now, some of the coverage, the man coverage plays I watched,
Hmm.
they were just getting flat out outrun. The corners were just getting flat out outrun. They run intricate deep crosses and stuff like that, which cause three defenders to kind of almost be running towards each other. So you slow down. It's just instinctual. You don't want to run into somebody. So you slow down a little bit, and that creates just enough separation for Wilson to hit the gas and be 5 yards ahead of you, right? Right at that cross. And they
Yeah.
do that. They do that kind of stuff well. They pitch it out to the flats and let their running backs just grab 8 yards real quick because they can. They're fast. So those are the things that are going to have to really take shape on the field. And I think they need to play really, really good zone coverage. For you, who has to have with both of our safeties now, Donovan Wilson and Wanye Thomas being in this game, it looks like for the whole game. Aside from them, who has to have a standout performance on defense this week?
Man, I'm gonna say it's time for hopefully. I'm gonna say Trayvon Diggs. All right, I'm bouncing between Trayvon and saying Ezeraku or someone like that because you need to generate that pressure. I don't know the Jets' offensive line enough to say if a 4-man rush will work against them or if it's gonna have to be manufactured pressure is what we're gonna need this week. I don't know them well enough on the offensive line to say that, but I'm gonna say Trayvon Diggs because last week he was benched to start the game, right? And they talked about how he needs to be working on his zone coverages and this week there was talks that Eberflus and all them said that Trayvon said, "Can we run more man?" Right, and Eberflus is
Right.
kind of standing his ground and saying, "No, the zone coverage will work. You have to trust me." Right, so I think it's time for Trayvon to kind of, I mean, he's bought in, I think, but to step up to the plate and really make sure that one, he knows the signals. Two, he's in his right coverage zone, and three, maybe he can step up and be that couple years ago Diggs where Fields is under pressure and Garrett
Right.
Wilson's coming across, like you said, and he can jump the route. This is kind of a week where I expect Trayvon and Deron Bland to maybe jump a route or two and get that turnover. So
Yeah, they're
that's
going
my
to
guy.
have to. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to have to. I think this is a defensive ends week for
Yeah.
me personally. They've really got to be solid at controlling the end, sealing it, whatever you want to say. I'm more worried that they're just going to be trying so hard to get a sack because that's all that we talk about is pressure, 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 that they're going to be so far bent around the pocket trying to create that pressure on the quarterback that it's going to
Mm.
leave major exit gaps that are going to gouge us. So this week, I just want to see them, you know, snap the ball, turn their hips towards the sideline, and just hold the end of the line, peek over shoulders, kind of see what's going to happen, and then break off and contain the quarterback coming out or and disrupt the screens and the throws to the flat to the running backs because they like to do a lot of that stuff. Snap the ball, look, and throw it out there, and then try to see who can run them down the fastest before they get 10 yards. Um, so it's definitely going to be a defensive end for a week for me. The last comment I'll have is they take a lot of shots on first down.
Hmm.
Watching their tape, everything that they tried to do that was explosive happened on 1st and 10, pass or run. So that's going to be big. Obviously, third downs are huge, but their 1st and 10 package is pretty crazy. They like to try to go for it on that first down instead of, doing the conventional run it in the A or B gap, right? Did you see anything in film that stood out to you?
Um, I mean, not necessarily. Like you said, I totally agree with the defensive ends. You cannot put your linebackers in a bad spot, especially if Sanborn's playing a lot. Last thing I need is your end shooting up and then all of a sudden Fields is fit between the guard and tackle gap or in the middle of it. And now because if we're playing a lot of zone, your linebackers are dropping 10 yards deep, and all of a sudden now they're just like his legs are exploding. So I totally agree with that. I mean that's the biggest thing that stands out. I'm scared of his legs.
Yeah. All right. So Eberflus, do you have faith in him this week?
I should say yes, considering he talked about the advantage they have against Fields, and I see little promises here and there from Green Bay, but I don't.
Sure.
Not until he shows it.
I agree with you
I bet.
100%. All right. What's your final score prediction?
Oh, give me Cowboys 24, Jets for 17. I'm gonna say 17.
All right. I'm going Cowboys 34, Jets 24. Think we should win this one by 10. We got to lock them down early. That's the only way we're going to get out of here without them doing if they get desperate, they're going to find ways to get their speed and hurt us, especially with Sanborn running around back there. So, not too excited about that. But yeah,
Man, and
it's my story. I'm sticking to it.
yeah, I mean, we talked. I mean, I thought Sanborn would be a lot better than what he was coming from Chicago with Eberflus, but I mean, dude, every time I see him, something's off. But maybe this is the week to fix it. I don't know.
Right. I hope
Every
so.
yeah, any given Sunday for a player. So
I just want to go into a week feeling confident, and comfortable. And it's been uncomfortable so far.
impossible. You are a
Yeah.
Cowboys
All
fan.
right. So we're gonna wrap it up there, and we'll get that film study out as soon as possible. Please like and subscribe for us. Again, leave comments. Let us know what you think, what you want to see, what you want to hear, and we will see you with the post game reaction Sunday or Monday. Take care.